Every one of us here tonight knows of the suffering of our people which endured during the Shoah. Tonight, everyone here joins together to commemorate our brothers, sisters, parents, and children who were the innocent victims. Allow me to share with you a memory of someone else, someone who extended a hand to me and to my fellow prisoners in our time of need. After 4 long years of suffering, starvation, and slave labor, having our families murdered in Treblinka, the remnants of the once 30,000 Jewish communities in the city of Radom in Poland were forced on a 6-day dead march towards Auschwitz-Birkenau. Our only hope of being liberated by the Soviet army disappeared. When reaching the Vistula River, they stopped for over half a year, giving the murderers enough time to march us deeper into Germany for further slave labor. The Dead March happened in the month of July, the height of summer, without stopping for water, and anyone who could not keep up with the guards was liquidated. After reaching Birkenau and having gone through the infamous selections, we were loaded onto cattle trucks and finished up in a new camp in Württemberg, 17 kilometers from Stuttgart, to join thousands of other slaves from different nationalities building an underground aircraft factory for the Messerschmitt Company. As Jewish prisoners, we had to carry out the worst manual labor, carrying sacks of cement down a quarry 70 meters on hanging ladders on a ration of 200 calories per day. Hundreds of our boys lost their lives from exhaustion and malnutrition. And in one mass grave alone are buried over 1,600 of our people. Due to the constant bombardment by the Allied Air Force, the Germans decided that they would need an aircraft shelter for them. I was one of a small group of prisoners selected to build 2 underground tunnels to shelter the people without having any experience as a miner. By the end of 1944, our food rations were reduced to a bowl of watery soup, a loaf of bread shared between 8 prisoners. The work began at 5 in the morning and ended by nightfall. Our situation was grim. We knew that the war was coming to an end, but looking at each other, we also knew that we wouldn't last very long. One day at the beginning of January 1945, we received an unexpected visit from a middle-aged lady accompanied by an SS officer. We understood that she must be someone important, as no civilian was allowed to enter the prohibited zone of the camp. After inspecting the tunnels and impressed with our work, she received permission to address me. She said then that she would like me to advise her that she intended to build a similar shelter for her people. Asking for my name, I could only give her my prisoner number, which was 95,627. She mentioned that she will ask for permission from the camp commandant for me to visit her estate and gave her name as Baroness von Neurath. By the end of the day, I've forgotten all about her visit, having more urgent problems like finishing our work in time and thinking of the meager slice of bread and the bowl of watery soup. Next, I began with the usual roll call and the never-ending counting of prisoners, when suddenly my number was called out to report to the mine guardhouse. For any prisoner, to report to a guardhouse meant either a murderous beating or a solitary confinement without food or water, and very few returned from there. My walk past the row of the lined-up prisoners was a very lonely one, not knowing the reason why I was being singled out. To my surprise, I was told to follow a guard in an unknown direction. After walking for quite a while, we reached a farming estate. The guard reported to an office. The lady who visited the camp appeared. She spoke to him in French, being a French auxiliary, sent him off to the kitchen. As for myself, I was asked to follow her. When we reached middle of a field walking together, she suddenly stopped and said, "Look, I don't need any aircraft shelters. What I called you about is to confirm me or to deny. As you know, I've got a small group of prisoners working for me here at the estate. And they are telling me that they are being here in the camp only because they are Jews and that they lost their family in the meantime. I've asked the lady, with her knowledge, having her brother-in-law, the famous Konstantin von Neurath, a minister in the Nazi government, Gauleiter of Böhmen and Mähren, which is the governor of Czechoslovakia. Why she's asking me that, being a Jewish prisoner? Her answer was, "You should believe me that we here had no idea of such crimes, and that had been committed against the whole nation just for being Jewish." Her next question was about me, what I had done to be in camp. I described to her what had happened to my family and me over the last 5 years. She listened to me in silence, and then assured me that she had received a promise from the camp commandant that should the Allies be on offensive of prisoners will not be evacuated. She also assured me that the Allied army would shortly cross the River Rhine and finally will be free people. But in case if the stormtroopers should change their minds, her exact words were, "My place is only a few kilometers away." I understood what she was really saying, that if necessary, she would hide me on her estate. I explained to her that this could only happen during evacuation, as under normal camp conditions, we are counted twice a day. On the way back to her estate, we stopped at a large room, like a hunting lodge, and she inquired of me if I'm hungry, and when I nodded, a large bowl of thick soup and bread and butter was brought to me by a girl. I must have eaten it very quickly, as she was surprised by the speed of my consuming the food. asking me if I would like to have some more, and assured me that she'll prepare some sandwiches to take with me, but I'll have to hide them under my jacket not to be caught by the SS. As I was returning to the misery of the camp, I was walking on air, forgetting that I was still on the guard, as for the first time I actually believed that someone was trying to help. And maybe this time, I would make it to freedom. Twice before, I was so close to being liberated, once by the Soviets, the second one by the Americans, only to be taken away for further slavery. It was that spark of hope that kept me going the most difficult times as a prisoner in camp. Irmgard von Neurath risked her life and her family's life in helping not only me, but many Jewish prisoners in our camp. My fellow prisoner Peter Zuckerman, who was selected to be one of her farm laborers, she provided him with extra food rations that enabled him gradually to regain his strength. In his memoirs, he calls her the angel of life. Her plan to run away did not eventuate, as the barrack with the fit prisoners were encircled one day in the end of March, and we were taken to the concentration camp of Dachau. I never saw Irmgard von Neurath again. When in October and in November 1947, 42 members of the SS Guard in Vaihingen and other nearby camps were tried at the Rastatt Castle by the French authorities for crimes against humanity, Irmgard von Neurath was the only German witness. And as she stepped into the witness stand, the judges all rose, and the presiding judge said, "You are one German who helped to save civilization. You have acted honorably and with charity. The court wishes to thank you." Together with her mother, Wendelgard von Staden, who has also helped many Jewish prisoners from the camp. She is now the honorary president of the Committee for the Preservation of the Memorial, the campsite in Vaihingen am Enz. So as we recall the horror and the suffering, the humiliation and the pain, let us spare a moment to recall the decency of this one woman. If only more people had acted as she had, perhaps our suffering would never have occurred in the first place. Thank you.